Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Online. Today I'm doing a discussion over Ascendancy, which is a game that I have no idea how to begin to even talk about it. Because if there was one word to describe Ascendancy, it would be bad. No, I'm kidding. It would be like just really like just hit the point home. No, it would be ambitious because there is absolutely nothing else like this that I can think of. Now there are games that have elements of this. Obviously, worker placement and area control and PvP and stuff like that. But having everything in the kitchen sink in this style of game without it feeling bloated, that is an incredible achievement. From my understanding, a first-time designer at Matthew Meeple, which if that is his last name, then he was born. He couldn't do anything else. He had to make worker placement games. But because of that, you can clearly tell he wanted to make an Ameritrash game, but he's like, well, my last name's Meeple, and I have to have Meeples in my game, so he's kind of created a world that just includes everything that you would think. There are so many elements of this game that would be games in and of themselves, or stripped down versions, but like, he's like, I want to make a worker placement game. Oh, well, I also want to make a scenario-based game. Well, I want to make a tech tree game. Well, I also want to make a combat game. Well, I also want to make a, and he threw it all in without it feeling like it's too much. I'm incredibly impressed with this style game. Now, obviously, this is not a game for everyone. I can't even fathom how you would go about teaching it to other people. Oh wait, yes I can, because he has a fucking scenario in the game, that's the tutorial it's incredible. It's so good. One of the, literally, the beginning scenario is part of the narrative, and can be played with any number of people. The base game scenario, for example, is so modular that you could play that, and that's the game. And then there's, 6 other scenarios to play. But the tutorial is like, oh, you want to learn it, but the game by yourself? Okay. And it even tells you, which is amazing. I don't know how accurate it is. But whenever you're learning the game, it tells you when you're setting up that one human, the 0, so the prologue, the tutorial, will take 2 hours. 2 humans, 2.5. It's a long game, but they're color coded. I have found very few typos in it. So it's like colored sections for like the story elements, which there is foreteller. There are games that are heavy narration based that don't do foreteller for bigger companies. And then for a worker placement game that has very little narration, has foreteller for narration. And so you read that, and then as you're also learning, there's, for example, Decade 1. Each round of Ascendancy is 1 decade. You have 2 objectives, Your Grace, if you can manage, and you have the guy who's teaching you the game is like some pompous ass. First, you must establish 1 new permanent settlement. Second, you must traverse this vast continent and meet me at the quest location. And then there's a blue box that is essentially Matt, that is kind of giving you designer info. So you're getting two areas of information while you are learning the game. Now the tutorial kind of gives you kind of a combination of the competitive nature and then the fully cooperative nature of the way the game can be played, because again, most other games that have different modes where it's like, oh, hey, here are some cooperative scenarios. Here's solo. Here's competitive. I always steer clear of those because it's like, you're not really going to do any of them well. And for the most part, that's true. But yet in Ascendancy, it is done well. I'm mind boggled by how he was able to do that, because there's fully competitive, and then the fully competitive. I'm talking about like the first scenario, loyalty of the people, which is like the base game, and it even tells you, hey, this is kind of the base game. And once you're done with that, where does it say it? Where was that? Loyalty of the people. There it is. Like all mainline scenarios, Loyalty of the People is designed for infinite replayability. Feel free to keep playing this one until you're comfortable enough with the rules to try a more advanced scenario. This scenario is essentially base game mode. So it tells you how long you can play it, which is 3 to 9 decades, so 3 to 9 full rounds, and it even explains to you how long 3 to 9 rounds would be in the rulebook. So you could be like, okay, well, we don't have that much time, so let's do 4. And it's like, that's kind of short to medium. 5 is pure medium, and then 8 to 9, medium long, and then long. And let me tell you, if you're playing higher up, that at 7 or 8, that is very long. So not only can you do game length it's modular, you can have at least a minimum number of players, which is 3 for loyalty of the people, that's how many humans. Oh, and bots in the game. So if you only have one player, like you want to play the solo, you just play 2 bots. And let me tell you, the nemesis are also extremely streamlined. It's normally any other game that would attempt to do this would fuck it up in some way. Or you could do any combination of, let's say you have 4 people, you could do, but it's 2 humans, so you can do 2 people and 2 bots. You could do, if you had 3 people and 1 bot. You can do 3 people, and maximum number of players is 4, so in this case it'd be 3 people and 1 bot. And then it allows you to do fully cooperative or fully competitive. And if you do fully competitive, you can curate it in such a way to severities of PvP. You can have it to where full-on fighting one another is something you can do. You can make it to where you can only attack unguarded settlements. You could have it to where one person is allowed to be fully, to be attacked, while the others don't want to be attacked at all. Just, it curates it to your play group in such a way that it just wouldn't work in other games. And that's just all on sheer game design. Then you go into the actual gameplay, where you have different levels of workers that go to different phases, but then you have like those tiers of workers where it has kind of jockeying for worker placement spots. But it's like, oh, you went there. Well, I'm gonna send a higher tier worker to also go there, bump you out of it, and you could just go there, when it's your turn again. But that level of just kind of great worker placement is something that's amazing. I really, really like the worker placement element. And then, because there's so much to do. You can fight monsters. You can hire mercenaries. You can go on quests. You can, go and move on the map to get different tiles. And those tiles all have adventures that you can go on. Basically special abilities that the tiles have. But those are all 100% unique as well, and positioning on the tiles actually matters. You can get loot. You can build buildings. You can activate buildings. There's pretty much everything that you could think of in a game like this. It is in here. and it all works extremely well. And then you get to your actual house, which there are 4 houses in the game, and they all kind of have, they don't really have like a backstory. I think they kind of do in, is it in the, I think it's at the end of the prologue. Where was that? Yes. Okay, well, for 2 of them. Where is he? Was it really just those 2? It might have been. Yeah, so, but basically, all the houses play differently, which is even more amazing. But what's really, really cool is that you have 4 different, like, I don't know, columns of different buildings that you can build. And they're all tied to a different stat. Cunning, might, and intellect. And then you have your empire that you actually can level up. And how you level up your empire is by gaining renown. And you gain renown through a bunch of different stuff. Either by completing quests, killing monsters, or any other ability that might gain you renown. Like, House Valis has this kinship. Gain renown equal to the sum total tier value of tamed creatures you control. And because she has ways to tame creatures, which is, whenever I kill a creature, if it has tamed on it, it actually becomes mine, and I can use food to send it out to help to fight with me. But, so you have things on that column. Let's just go with cunning for where there's, everyone has like 3 buildings that you can build, but then they can be ramped up based off tiers. So the hunting camp, for example, I can build, and then I can upgrade that to a tier 3. They start at 0, go to tier 3, where it just gets better. But what's also amazing about that is the art changes for the tiers, so it actually shows like progression. And the art in this game is phenomenal. It's so good. It's amazing, high fantasy. But not only on these buildings, or not only can you build buildings, whenever you build something, this is such a unique system that I thought was going to be very fiddly, and it's really not. Underneath your stack is your tech tree. And after you upgrade or build something, you move that full stack up to reveal a new row for your tech tree that will get you specific champions you can hire. It can get you extra workers of that particular type. It can get you items that are underneath this, so based off that tier. So like I can get a blue cube, which is knowledge, to get a tier 1 from that stack, which in this case is either Frontier Masters, my outcast, my level 1 tier 1 workers can act as loyalists at the frontier and may subvert events. So basically what that means, that's just a passive ability I now have that, now my outcast, my usually very weak workers that can only go to the very first worker placement spot, now they can go to the academy and like at the frontier. So now I can actually send them to the level 3 spot. Oh, sorry. At the frontier. The frontier is the level 1 spot. However, it acts as a higher tier worker, which allows me to oust other workers. So, for example, let's say I really wanted to go and reveal a level 1 creature, but someone went there. Well, now my outcast I can send to oust them and go there. And that's just one. The other one is, the wave. No, that was my empire. Where is it? Is that the only one? That is the only one, actually. That is the only tier 1 tech that I can get. But there's 3 tier 2s and 2 tier 3s. But that tech tree thing is so innovative. I've never seen anything like it, and I thought with the way that these cards were set and stacked that it was going to be like, cards all over the place and incredibly fiddly, and it's really not. In fact, the way that you organize this game, it even tells you at the very beginning when you're setting up the box and stuff that it's going to take you a little over an hour to do. But once you're done, once the game is set, I mean, for a game of this magnitude that does take up some table space, it's one of the easiest to set up. And I'm thinking of games like Voidfall, for example, that also had a bunch of stuff going on with it, and I just had no desire to play it again because it was just so rules heavy. And I'm not saying this game is not rules heavy, but it's done in such a digestible way that this is the kind of bigger box game that I would want to set up. Especially whenever you can pick a scenario or just play the base game, Loyalty of the People. Oh, we have 4 people, let's do teams. Or let's do hidden roles, which is another thing. You can have hidden roles and you can attack one another and you can do things to try and see who your ally is. And then if you find out who your ally is, then you can try and win together as a team. And you can even do that with the Nemesis, which are the bots. They'll act as your aggressor pretty much for the most part the entire game, but then you can also aid them if you find out that they're your ally. So the tech tree thing is amazing, and like I said, every single house is completely unique in the equipment that they can get, and that's not items that you can just pull. There's 2 decks of items, battle items or combat items and non-combat items, but there's legitimate equipment that you can get. Oh, here it is. I was like, I could have sworn there was another tier 1 equipment that you can get, which in this case is like a hunting spear that you can assign to one of your champions that gives them extra actions that they can do whenever they're in combat. Then you have area of effect stuff that at the end of a decade, your settlements that you have out on the board have like an ability that has like a range to them. Like one of hers is aid stations. Each settlement and the avatars of your choice within range 1 may restore 1 or clear 1 status, or may restore 1 health and clear 1 status. So that's just, it's like, oh, okay, end of round, I get to heal a little bit. Or I have a negative status effect that's on me, I'll get rid of that. And what's even more cool is when you build these buildings, they are assigned at a specific area. So like the frontier phase, the very first phase that you go into. People who have built buildings will either go, now in a solo game like I just played, it'll just go on the phases build spot. But let's say you're playing a multiplayer game and everyone's built a building, those are all fair game to use. So someone, it's not just my hunting camp. Someone can come use my hunting camp, but I can charge them a coin. And then the fact that there's also tons of instant effects that you can do. Whenever I was just doing my solo game, I had a quest where I had to kill like a black type monster, and then, or discard it. And then I had an ability, like my hunting camp says, choose any 2 in any order, reveal a monster, apply tamed, discard any unwounded monster to draw 1 loot. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to activate my hunting camp. Then I'm going to reveal the black monster. It's there. I'm going to activate my hunting camp. I'm going to discard it to gain a loot. And then, oh, hey, this quest that I have is defeat or discard a black or white creature. Cool. So I'm going to complete that. That gives me 2 renown. That puts me over my threshold of 6 renown that I need for my empire. I'm going to do an instant action to upgrade my empire, which gives me a settlement. I'm going to place a settlement on my spot and get a bunch of loyalty victory points and then get all this stuff. And then I'm like, okay, I'm done. And then I was trying to figure out where I was for the Nemesis turns, because I was like, oh, I guess, yeah, I'm done for the round. I was like, wait a minute, that was just phase 1. And that stuff is so cool. And it gets even more awesome whenever other players are involved. Because the Nemesis, at the end of the day, they're just bots. Like, they're not building tech trees, they're not building buildings. They're basically gaining points, removing resources, and I mean, they will fight you. And like the Nemesis do have bosses that you fight whenever you do encounter them, or if they hunt you down. But for the most part, they kind of are. You can avoid them essentially if you want to. So the player boards, I think, are awesome. I really like the fact that everyone has different buildings, and every house is completely unique. All their champions are different, and every house has 3 champions you can get. And hell, you can even hire other people's champions depending on how you want to go about it. Like if I go onto this the Skywatch area, and I spend a food to do a foreign champion, it's like, oh cool, I'm gonna take a Sky Pirate. So theoretically, people could hire your own houses if you don't get hire them first. So that's amazing. And then we get into combat, which the way that the game was explaining it, I don't quite see. It was basically saying that it's kind of like a JRPG, and I'm not seeing that at all. But what's really neat is there are 2 types of combatants, pretty much. There are those with action points, and then those that use dice. Basically, monsters will use dice. I think war machines use dice. Yes. War machines use dice. Mercenaries use dice. And fortifications use action points. And champions use action points. So there's this kind of rock, paper, scissors element where cunning is better than intelligence. It's on the back. Yeah, cunning beats intellect, intellect beats might, and might beats cunning. Now, to me, I kind of feel like cunning and intellect are kind of the same, but I know they are different. But it's like you would assume someone who's cunning is also smart, but oh well. But yeah, so there's like, okay, so if you have a cunning type and a cunning type champion, you're going to do better against intellect. Intellect's going to do better than might, and then there's also kind of a color advantage. So my huntress has an ability that lets me do a shoot action that lets me deal extra damage to purple type champions or monsters. So what's really neat is every enemy or character or whatever has an initiative value, and whoever has highest initiative goes first. So what's really cool is you have action points, and all of your actions, which again are different per champion, will have a value. So her shoot has a pinpoint, which typically if you're doing a melee attack, you can only attack in your front row, and all of this is done in front of you. If you don't have pinpoint, then you just have to attack the person in the front row. But she can actually attack, if I'm fighting 3 enemies, then I can attack any one of them. But they have attacks and they have tactics. The tactics you can use at any time. Especially, what's really cool is you can see what the enemy is doing before you spend the ability point. So I can see if an enemy's doing an attack. It's like, oh, that's funny. Legitimately rolled a 1. Oh, rolled a 1. It's a miss. So I don't have to preemptively spend my stamina or whatever that's called. It is called stamina. I don't have to preemptively spend my stamina to avoid damage when there was no damage to begin with. But I could see, and it's like, oh, that's going to do a damage. Okay, now I'll spend my 1 stamina to prevent that damage, or whatever it might be. The combat, I think, is great. It can be kind of swingy, but I like the agency on that. At least I get to do what I want to do with at least my champions. Versus, let's see if I can do my attack. Nope, I rolled a 1 again. I rolled a 1. Guess I missed. Nope, that could still kind of happen in a different way because the creatures that you fight both have an attack and a defense. So whenever you attack them, they roll their defense die, and it's a 4. Armor prevents up to 1 damage. Oh, well, good thing I used my throw ability that ignores all armor that I got from my hunting spear from upgrading my hunting camp. So that actually doesn't matter. So it's still going to be 1 damage. The creatures, I think, are incredibly creative as well. And they all fight kind of different. Some apply different types of status effects. One that I fought in my solo game was like this chameleon. What was it called? A chromeleon that applies faded, which kind of makes it invulnerable. And they also have certain types of resistances, which is really, really smart on how they did it, because there are status effects that are colors. So there's green, gray, black, blue, purple, and red. And you can just see on their card, oh, this chromeleon is immune to green status effects. So that's awesome. And then it's like, oh, I have this tamed giant locust on my side. Well, now it's his turn to act, and then he just rolls a die, and it's a 3. So he's going to do a leap ability, and it says he pinpoints intelligent type enemies, but it's going to be 2 damage. And then whoever's attacking, they roll the defense. It's a 4, prevents a damage or something. Now it deals 1 damage to them. It's very quick, very clean, but still gives you agency, and you can have battle items that can be huge, and like turn the tide in your favor. There's other ways, like this bounty medallion, for example, is an uncommon item. Place +1 renown on any tier 1 or +2 renown on any tier 2. So you can just make them worth more when you defeat them. And after that, all items have a type of resource on the back based off of this, and it tells you what it's going to be. Caltrops, once you're done using this, it's going to turn into scrap metal that you just keep off to the side, because some things might require those resources. Like your skills. You have 3 skills that I've been mentioning: cunning, might, and intellect, and those can increase. And when you increase them, you get special abilities based off of how high they are, and you can have combined abilities based off how high 2 of them are. So a good example is might and cunning. If you get both of them to 2, you get something called fiber work, which lets you, at the end of a decade, turn a cloth, I think it's a cloth, fiber, turn a fiber into a food, which you might need food for tamed creatures or to traverse the land and move. It's insane. It's just absolutely insane that the amount of stuff that I keep bringing up would, I feel like a lot of people would be like, nope, I'm done. And I thought I was going to be that way too, but with the tutorial being as great as it is, because it's actually fun and it has a narrative element to it, it's just like, it's so cool. It's so cool. This is like the most thematic worker placement Euro game that I've seen. And then on top of that, you can level up your settlements which gives you even more loyalty. It's like, oh, this wood home area that I'm on, I put a settlement there that got me 2 points. It actually got me 3 because it's adjacent to a green area. But if I put a wall around it, then that means that I get, well, that's actually one thing I have not been able to clarify, because it says 2, 4, 6. I think that gives me 4 loyalty. It's either 4 loyalty or it gives me 2 additional loyalty. I know it doesn't, it's not cumulative, so I don't believe it gives me 6. Oh, I know it doesn't give me 6 if I go from tier 1 to tier 2. I just haven't been able to figure out if it actually gives me the number that's there, which is 4 plus 1 because it's adjacent to green, or if it gives me the difference between tier 1 and tier 2. Either way, that could be lost, because you could be sieged. If you're attacked and someone has a war machine, then they can actually deploy that, which they have to go and attack an area. Now, if it's defended, you actually get an innate fortification. So if someone's attacking this and I'm there to defend it, then I innately get a fortification, which are the walls that I just put in. But then you can also get something for a tower that goes in the middle. So now I get my tower, which gives me, more, more defense, more things to do. But then if they do succeed, if they actually beat you, then they destroy that, take it as a trophy, and they gain loyalty equal to the tier. So they would gain 3 loyalty, whereas I would lose loyalty because it's no longer a 3. So if you want PvP in your game, if you don't, then it's just fair game. And that, in and of itself, that's all just stuff you can do in this loyalty of the people scenario. You can just play that. But then there's 6 more scenarios. There's episode selections that's based off of, you just have a choose your own adventure kind of story, narrative choices you can make. There's also points of interest. Some areas, like Skywatch, has a point of interest in fully cooperative scenarios where you can actually investigate more stuff on those locations. Then there's scenarios that you unlock through legacy cards, and you might be like, Jesus, Seth, will you shut the fuck up? Why is there more stuff? Well, I don't know why you're yelling at me. You gotta talk to Matthew. Because this game has legacy cards. If I already explained how each house is different based off of their buildings, their champions, their tech... the tech trees, as far as I can tell, are actually the exact same. But the technologies that they can unlock through those are different. Well, now, as you play this game... It's not a campaign game, by the way. But it has a legacy element in that when you're setting up the game, you take legacy cards and you shuffle them up. And depending on the number of players, you have these legacy cards out. And then the winner of that game gets to pick one of those legacy cards and kind of puts it in their tableau area. Now it gives them an extra goal in the next game. And let's just say they complete it. Well, now that becomes a unique technology that they have in their house for future games. And, those are just setup cards. You can easily just remove those, and it's not like, gotta put a sticker or write something or assign it to House Valis the entire time. Nope. It's there, and you could just have it where it's like, here's our kingdom, and now this is how it kind of gives you, what's that? It's not direct storytelling, I guess indirect storytelling, where you can kind of remember the game that happened that allowed you to unlock that, and then then that gives you kind of a world that you've created within your own game, kind of like a chronicle. Then that's how you unlock other scenarios. You, like, one of the 8th scenario, you technically can't do. You can. There's nothing stopping you from just picking and going, but that's one of the legacy cards. It's the 8th scenario, and you have to complete something to allow you to unlock that to go in and get it, or you have to go play the 8th scenario, I think, win it, and then that unlocks that tech that goes into your house. And on top of all of that, there's this ancestral ledger that is kind of like an achievement sheet, and other games have done this, and it's always something I've very much enjoyed. But this one gives you house achievements. Now, actually, I'm not sure how certain things happen, but like what you get for doing things. But because I think, there's unlockables down here. And I have no idea what that means. This could just be an achievement sheet. But the way I understand it is there's actual things that unlock that you get. But there's nothing that necessarily unlocks. There are envelopes that you're not supposed to look at. They're not even taped or anything, so you could. But you're not supposed to look at until certain scenarios, but I don't know. That ancestral ledger I think is really cool. Now, in terms of negatives for the game, well, It's actually pretty. The worker placement part, there's an element of it that I actually find incredibly frustrating. And I don't know why it was designed this way, but there's two types of meeples that you have. You have your mount, which is a worker in and of itself. It really can only be used to move. That's like you use this if you want to just move. But then you have your noble, your lord or lady. The rules tell you if you want to move and adventure, you take your lord or lady and put them atop your mount, and then that shows that you are both going to move and you're going to adventure. This is so fiddly, and it's so frustrating to place them on that spot to denote that you are doing both. Because a production problem that I have with this game, let me do a good example here. This mat, so these trays here, these pieces warp and bend, and they have these little holes here that's where the workers go. Well, because they warp and bend, your workers don't quite fit in there all the time. So like the one where you place the horse and your worker is bowed enough that whenever you go to place it, it will knock your piece off. And that happens, and they're so close together that let's say 4 people are trying to, they want to move an adventure, you're just constantly knocking your little dude off. And these needed to either be tighter or there needed to be just something else to denote that that's what you're doing, because it is absolutely frustrating. And that brings me to my second point. These trays, while a nice idea, again, I think the components in them are like these, whatever these are called. I wish these were dual layer. Dual layer would have completely fixed the issue. Or if you didn't want to do a like dual layer tray because you wanted to kind of have it be game trays and have everything organized so that it's just kind of like pulling the 4 districts out and placing them out, then these needed to actually be cardboard, not paper. So that they don't warp, or they're less likely to warp, because you want things to be, kind of seamless, and I've had it many times where I'm trying to place a worker or pull a worker out and it actually gets caught and it like pulls the thing out, or you're trying to organize your board and you can't place your workers all the way in because they're being pushed out. It's very bad, and I really hope that in their expansion they just produce better quality stuff. Like if they actually produced cardboard or dual layer boards for that would be a huge upgrade. Funny enough, other than that, I really don't have many negatives. One thing that's kind of weird is that whenever you gain loot, because there's common, uncommon, and rare loot, you don't know what it is. So whenever you move onto a spot, you do take it, but you put it face down, and you have to do an action to discover it, to be able to flip it and see what it is, and then apply. It's like, oh, now I can use this. Or like I have this rare one that, hey, my mount is now +1 tier. That's awesome, because that's huge, especially because I have this Empire upgrade that lets me place my mount on here and gain food equal to its tier of my horse. So this rare loot alone, makes that to where I can get two food just by doing that. But I don't know that. And whenever you get a bunch of the same item and you are trying to figure out what like, hey, I have 5 common loots here. I get to look at one of them, and you just flip one over, and it's like, oh, well, that's not useful for me. But then later on, you reveal one, and it's like, oh, that would be useful. I don't know. It's just a little weird that you're not really sure what you're getting. But again, there's tons of ways to actually just go and see like what they are. Like actually the one I just showed. was identify one or peek at a card, identify one luge or peek at a card and steal one coin. So it's not that that's really a major negative. It's just that it's just kind of weird. Yeah, like I'm just so absolutely impressed. It's mind-boggling that this game works. The fact that this game works is an achievement in and of itself. And then to add onto everything that I've talked about, they're making a freaking expansion for it. And I was just looking into what that was before doing this review. And they're adding dungeons that are tile-based, where you actually like go into dungeons and you explore dungeons for stuff. And I would imagine, based off the art, because there's 4 houses right now, which are the pirates, the druids, the warmongers, and then the necromancer or whatever. There's these 2 as well, the white and the black on this cover. So I would imagine that the expansion, it's called Underworld, I think, is going to add 2 new houses, and on top of the dungeons, which is such a cool idea. And normally I would sit here and be like, I mean, this in and of itself is more than enough. And I'm like, adding dungeons, that's going to make it like over-bloated. It's not right now, in my opinion. So, yeah. And what's so funny is I was actually on the verge of thinking of selling this, because I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm ever really going to play it. But I was like, yeah, I'll give it a few more shots. And the more I play it, the more I discover, the more I have retained the rules, because there is a awesome how to play video by, I think it's Knights at the Round Table or Knights Around the Table. With it's done super well. And the rulebook is also really good. The more I'm enthralled by this game, and the more I want to kind of do different builds and try different stuff, and that's all from just the first scenario, the loyalty of the people. Like, it's like, oh, okay, well now let's try scenario 2, and let's play that fully cooperative and fight against the boss in that one. Yeah, I'm so impressed. So, yeah, that's it. I think that is my thoughts on Ascendancy. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I gotta give this a 9. It's so amazing. The more I play it, and normally these types of games, I mean, if you've seen my Voidfall run through, you're like, you would assume that I would just be like, yeah, no, this game's good, but I have no desire to play it again. That's not the case here. This one has so many different strategies and different builds and different, and variety. In these kinds of games, I want replayability. And it hits my it's kind of like a perfect blend of, oh, well, I want a worker placement game, or I want a Euro game, but I really love narrative-driven campaign games. It's not that at all, but it kind of is that. It scratches that itch of getting to do combat, but then also kind of build up my empire, while also still getting tech trees, while also managing whatever the scenario is throwing at me. Oh, and then doing points of interest. I want to go over there to Woodholm and do the points of interest there, so we can get powerful enough and figure out maybe that'll give us something that'll be beneficial to fight the boss. Or I want to do a bunch of this stuff because that's going to allow me to ready up, because I'm going to go attack you, and with my war machine that would allow me to overcome your tower, to have you lose loyalty, but then have me gain loyalty. It's just, and then, I mean, it's getting a ton of extra points because of just the fact that if this is one guy's ambition of, there's nothing out on the market that's like this, and I was able to create it, and it isn't trash, and it's not, That's just incredibly impressive. So yeah, like, I don't know, and like it's also incredibly balanced because there are the 6 resources, and all of those are how many there are available to you are also just based off number of players. The fact that it curates and balances so well to player count, because normally these kinds of games would be like, well, I don't have 4, so I guess I'll barely get it played. It's like, well, I can get 3, or hell, I can consistently get another person to play with me. So now I'm going to throw in 2 Nemesis, and we'll play a 4-player game. And it will feel like a 4-player game. Now, I mean, there'll be cooler stuff going on with the actual players, but the board will feel like a 4-player game. The action spots will feel like a 4-player game. You'll have, and there are difficulty levels to the Nemesis, so if you can put one on standard and one on hard, or if you can consistently get 3, but you don't really want to play a 3-player game, you want kind of an AI to go. It's just, it is absolutely mind-boggling that this exists. So yeah, 9 out of 10 for me and Ascendancy. That's it, everyone. That's my thoughts. Let me know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.